Dr. Nagendra Swamy, Senior President, Group Medical Director and Chairman of the Quality Council for Manipal Health Enterprises. I think last decade there has been a quantum change the way the healthcare is viewed in India. Especially what has happened is there is a big gap between the providers' availability in the rural sector to the urban sector. If you look at the Indian population, 72% of the people live in rural India and about 28% live in the urban India. But the healthcare facilities in reverse. 80% of the healthcare facilities are serving 28% of the population, whether very few 20% are serving the 72% of the issue. Second thing that has happened is India, which was known for infectious diseases earlier, like plague, cholera, etc., has now changed in its disease pattern. Now we are seeing more of lifestyle diseases, cardiac diseases, cancers, strokes, which have come out because of certain lifestyle related issues. With this kind of a total change in the disease pattern, we have to get geared up to address that part of it. The World Health Organization very clearly says there should be at least around 6 beds per 1,000 population. If you look at the Indian scenario today, we are almost about 1.6 beds for 1,000 population in India today. That shows how much acute gap for the bed and population. So even if we consider 3 beds for 1,000 population, we need to have about 100,000 beds coming each year into Indian market for next 10 years to make it to 3 per 1,000. That's the biggest challenge. And there is a big difference between according to me, there are 3 types of care or a health that needs to be done. One is preventive care. How do we prevent a disease? Second is promotive care. That means a person has a disease, how do we still give him a healthy life manageable? Next is curative care, like absolute treatment, what we do. I think there seems to be lack of attention onto the preventive care, which is to come. Though health is an obligation constitutionally by the state, today the 80% of the healthcare providers are from the private industry. I sincerely feel government should concentrate on preventive care, public health, giving a clean sanitation, giving a good air, drinking water to all the people so that the diseases are prevented. Then only the challenge comes. I think patient rights, responsibility and safety are 3 important parts of the healthcare delivery system. Irrespective of which kind of healthcare provider you go, patient should know what is his rights, like rights to know the information completely, rights to know the alternatives that are available to him, rights to know what are the ill effects of a suggested treatment, rights to have a second opinion for the suggestion that has been given. Along with the rights, it also comes what we call as a responsibility. Rights cannot be unilateral. Similarly, patients has got a responsibility. He should tell the complete history to the doctor. He should not hide anything. He should not take any medication without informing the doctor and mixing. We have a habit. There will be an allopathic medicine side by side. They are taking homeopathy, Ayurvedic. You don't know which one is acting and which one is reacting. So the rights and responsibility are very, very important. And it's very important that the medical community should accept that patient has got this right. It's my obligation to explain him, give him that opportunity and comfort to raise his doubts. Most of the times I find in our scenario, the patients are spellbound in front of the doctor. They would have got some 50 questions. As soon as a doctor says something, they will smile and say thank you and go out and ask somebody else outside that question. I do not know, that comes from a cultural background which puts the doctors on a pedestal to think I am sitting in front of a demigod who is giving me life and death, so I am not bound to be the question. I think the scenario has changed. The doctors are pleading today, don't treat us as gods, treat us as human beings. We also are culpable. We do some of the issues in the best interest of you, so no need to treat us as a god. So it is very, very important. The patient should know his rights, and every healthcare provider should exhibit in his premises, these are your rights. These are your, how do you address your grievance? If you have a doubt, where to ask that? This education has to come in. Coming to patient safety, it is one of the important issues. Last year itself, the published data in US is about 140,000 people had affected, either died or mortality or morbidity came because of the something wrong happened in the healthcare environment. This is a safety factor which every healthcare provider should ensure. There should be medication safety, there should be safety from fall of the patient, safety from not doing a wrong operation. There are quite a set of protocols that are available. It's important, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We should learn from the people who have gone through this process and suggested. One welcome gesture that has come to in India is the accreditation and the quality process. When the people go through this quality process, the rights, the responsibilities, safety is ingrained into it. When a hospital puts a board that I am accredited in such and such a certification, it gives a kind of a comfort that there is a set standard in this hospital which will prevent certain occurrences that may happen in any other sector. I think we have seen this. With the explosion of the knowledge, explosion of the information that is available on the net very freely, what's happening is patients are educated now today. When this education also has come in and the payment for the doctor is now viewed as a consumer kind of a relationship. It is no more a relationship of a trust. It is a customer and a thing. In this scenario, what is happening is that gap between the patient and doctor relationship is becoming widened. And to an extent, I think the medical community is also responsible for this. They should also proactively understand and recognize we are rifting away from our sacrosanct relationship we had with the patient. To bring it back, we should supply him the rightful information. We should give him that option of choosing what is right for him. An informed decision is one of the most important aspects of the clinical care. And the doctor also, according to me, any good doctor should have A, B, C. To me, A is availability and accessibility. Whenever a patient needs, you should be available to him. He should have a free access to him. Today we build so many walls. You can't call me on this time. You should only go through my secretary. So this is also bringing a bridge. One is accessibility and availability. B is behavior. I think to me B is one of the most important part, because no medical college today in their curriculum teaches us what is the bedside manners. How do I deal with the patient? What are the do's and don'ts with the patient? We learn it from how our another superior teacher or another doctor did. I think if my luck is good, if I have a good boss, I learn good things. If my luck is bad, I end up with a short-tempered boss, I bound to be short-tempered. overgoing. I think it's time that our curriculum should give lot of importance on behavioral patterns of the medical education along with the medical ethics. How do we practice medical ethics? All such things should become a part and parcel of the curriculum. Today, people are learning it by experience. That is one of the important gap that is coming up. Because of that, the mistrust is also growing continuously. My last thing is C. C is competency. If I am treating you, I need to be updated about what are all the treatment protocols. What I read about 15 years back may not be relevant today. I need to keep myself updated. My competency should be good. Another C is communication. Today, a lot of people lack in the soft skill of communicating with the patient. How do you see? Nobody comes into a healthcare environment for a, what should I call, for a jolly time or a happy time. Healthcare environment is always with an anxiety. Let it be a happy occasion like a delivery also. There is so much of anxiety whether the child that is going to be born is going to be healthy, will it not have any anomalies, will the mother will be safe or not. In such environment, when the anxiety is high, communication becomes essential because you won't hear many things which you would have commonly heard otherwise because your anxiety is clouding your mind. So doctors should recognize that my communication should be so clear. I should not mind repeating the things for the benefit of the patient. Some of our friends will become very irritated if the patient asks the second time the same question. How many times I have to tell you? I think if the communication C is addressed, the ABC will form a good doctor and a bad doctor issue.
Now, what role does second opinion play in healthcare today?
I think second opinion, according to me, is the birthright of the patient. If you are trying to give a very terminal disease diagnosis to somebody, or if you are providing a costly, very exorbitantly costly treatment suggesting to somebody, or if you are giving a long time treatment to somebody, let's say you have to take a medication for 2 years, lifetime, 3 times, then the patient has a right to go somewhere else and make sure that what has been advised is correct. According to me, second opinion is a weapon which the doctor should use very effectively to build the trust with the patient. If I as a doctor say, listen, my suggestion is this, for your comfort, I would suggest you should get a second opinion from another person so that you will have a complete faith in what I am telling. You will rise so much high in the eyes of the patient. He will say, hey, he is a damn good doctor. He is giving me this option of going to the second opinion. At the same time, second opinion has got its own pitfalls. If you don't get a second opinion from another competent or a right doctor, you may end up with an opinion which is totally different. You are left, somebody says you have cancer, somebody says you don't have cancer. You are in a big dilemma. Which is true? The human mind is, when somebody says you don't have something, we always go and embrace that. But is that the right decision? You might have missed something. So whenever there is a exactly diversified opinion, then somebody has to go for a third opinion where the best of the two has to. I think the amount of time and energy we waste in, I shouldn't say the word waste, the amount of time and energy we invest on this mitigation of medical legal things is paramount of importance today. Because ever since Shanta and IMA case came up and the consumer forum, the medical profession was put into consumer forum, the scene has changed in India. In last 10 years, I have seen 4 times increase in the medical litigations that come up to the things. One should understand the medical negligence litigation is always based on what the patient or his relative feels about the thing. To me, if the grievance of the patient and their party has been addressed successfully by the doctor or the hospital, this won't go for negligence. That's where the first factor. The second factor, very, very important, is there are about 5 forums where the patient reaches out. They can go to consumer forum, they can go to medical council about it, they can go to civil forum, there is a criminal case. Nowadays, they are also going to human rights commission. There are so many umpteen number of agencies which are targeting to see this case. Some of the smart patients are also going to 5 or 6 agencies simultaneously, so that there is so much of pressure on this. In this scenario, it is important the law and legislation should have some boundary to it. Otherwise, this will become a defensive practice. I am so scared that I may be medically pulled up. I do things that are not necessary to be done to you. For example, a patient comes with a headache. I don't need to do a CT scan on the first auto. I can just treat it as any headache. But today I am so morbidly scared. Oh, I'm in a big hospital. Somebody has come in for a headache, and God forbid there may be a tumor in 1 in 1,000 people. But let me do a CT scan so that I am on a safer wicket. So this kind of defensive practice also develops in the doctor and healthcare environment if we don't bring a boundary to this medico-legal issues. Recently, in Kunal's this thing, 11 crores compensation gave with the interest, it went to 15 crores. How can in India a doctor or an institution can pay that kind of? I'm not telling that human life is not valid. There's no difference of the valuation for human life. If a person who is driving a car in an accident hits somebody and he dies, there is a compensation mechanism that is calculated and given. Whereas when it comes to medical negligence, 15 crores, 20 crores like that, how that can? This is also increasing the complaints, because everybody thinks whether I can make a big money in it. With this, what has happened is hospitals and doctors have to be more careful. The consents have to be taken for every act of yours, and you need to keep the patients recorded about your conversation, what you have told. Such things are also adding for the cost of the healthcare that is going up. What we have done in our thing is, we have a separate wing which addresses the medico-legal issues and educates the people and also the doctors. I head that cell. We conduct very periodic workshops for the doctors and administrators to recognize the medical pitfalls and correct ourselves every time it happens. And the second thing is, we have a very strict grievance protocol. Whenever a patient raises a doubt or questions anything, there is a set of people who come into the force who will analyze everything and try to sit across the patient and explain what has transpired in that. In spite of that, sometimes we do face the cases. We have put in place serious preventive steps to do it. But as and when the case comes, we have to battle it on the merit of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.